Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. We are living in very volatile times. We can notice this on the stock market, but also a lot of alternative assets as collectibles seem to be suffering. Now, since its release on the market, Onepiece surprised both friends and enemies with booster boxes that saw a very rapid price increase. But now the tide seems to have shifted. Or maybe not. The panic that we can see in the Onepiece market comes from a rapid fall in prices that started somewhere at the end of May of this year. Now, especially the price of the Paramount War booster box, which is the second Onepiece set, is causing a lot of people to worry. From a price of a bit less than $400 at the peak of the market, the value dropped all the way back to, at the moment of making this video, around $160. And yes, that hurts. Now, whenever something like this happens, it's always very important to figure out what the reason is behind the price drop. Because let's be honest, guys and girls, an almost sudden drop of 50% is absolutely not something that you see every day. Now, the first thing that you have to know is that Bandai announced, I believe about 6 months ago, that they would do everything they could to bring more supply to the market. Now, a part of that extra supply seems to have hit the market by now, which is causing the prices to drop. We don't only see this happen with Paramount War, but also with Pillars of Strength, Awakening of the New Era, and so on. Now, the only booster box that, besides the very first set, which I will be talking about in a moment, that still is showing green numbers over the last 6 months is Kingdoms of Intrigue. And even this set, if we change the graph to the last 3 months, is showing a price drop from not less than 20%. So probably the drop in price that we are seeing over the last couple of months is the direct result of new supply hitting the market. Nothing more and nothing less. I see a lot of people panicking that this could just be the end of Onepiece investing. But guys and girls, seriously, we have to stop doing this. I have the feeling that since the COVID pandemic, almost everyone seems to have forgotten what investing really means. Now, if you invest in an asset, and yes, also collectibles are indeed an asset, then this is not something that you are doing for a couple of months or a year. Now, in most cases, you are investing in something that you will have to hold on to for many years. The only reason why we saw such an impressive price explosion from the first Onepiece boxes is just because of the very simple fact that there was not enough supply to meet the demand. And if you have invested for the short term and you bought the booster boxes straight at release, you should still be doing more than fine. Because look what happens when we change the graph of Paramount War from 6 months to 12 months. If we do that, we can see that this box is still almost 62% in the green. Now, the Pillars of Strength booster box is showing a loss of a bit more than 10% over the last 6 months, but if we change the graph to the last 12 months, it is still a whooping 141% in the green. The Kingdoms of Intrigue booster box is showing a bit less impressive numbers, but is still up almost 50% over the last 12 months, well, at least since its release on the market. Now, for all sets that have been released after Kingdoms of Intrigue goes that they are not showing any green numbers anymore. This is the fact for both Wings of the Captain and also 500 Years in the Future. Let's now take a step back and take a look at the very first Onepiece set that was released on the market, Romance Dawn. The graph that you can see in front of you is the one from the booster box with the blue bottom, which is obviously the first edition version. Now, from this box, we can be 99.99% sure that it will not see a reprint or a restock anymore. And what do we see? The price did show a significant drop at the end of May due to the panic in the market, but started to rise already again shortly after, only in the second week of June. Now, since the beginning of July, we actually are seeing again booster boxes being sold for a price of above $900 or even more. A couple of the last solds are even showing prices of more than $1,000. Now, if we take a closer look at the white bottom version from Romance Dawn, which is the second print of the first set, then we are seeing a different story. These boxes are not showing a significant loss over the last year, around 9%, but they also don't see a recovery and a renewed interest. But guys, also this is making total sense. If you are a Onepiece collector or an investor, in both cases you will definitely prefer having the blue bottom version in your collection and in your investment portfolio. Because this is the first edition of the set, and this is basically the only box from which you can be sure that it will not see a reprint anymore. Now, the fact that you can take away that risk is causing the value of this box to rise, while the value of the white bottom version is staying pretty stagnant. Now, obviously also the fact that the second version is released in a lot higher numbers is playing its part, but that speaks for itself. And it is still the first set, and because of that the reason isn't hit that hard as other booster boxes, but it makes absolute sense that it's not holding up nearly as well as the blue bottom is. Now, however, I am not a financial advisor and nothing in any of my videos should be considered as financial or investment advice. It is important to realize as a collector and as an investor that you are the one that decides how big the risk is that you are willing to take. Let's again take the graph from Paramount War as an example, but guys and girls, this obviously does not only apply to One Piece, but also to other purchases or investments that you are willing to make. Okay, so if you bought a booster box at release, you probably will have spent between $80 and $100. If you buy an item like a booster box at or around its release and the prices are not inflated because of a temporary shortage of supply, this is very important to keep in mind, you are reducing your risk to almost zero. The only risk that you then still have is the game failing, which is something that nobody can ever predict in advance. Now, the moment that you are buying a box at a certain premium, you are increasing the risk almost simultaneously with the price. In other words, when you bought a Paramount War booster box at a price of, let's say, $350, your risk obviously becomes a lot higher than when you bought it for $150, $200 or $250. Now, the higher the price you pay for a booster box, the bigger the chance that it will fall drastically, so the bigger the risk you are taking. This seems very obvious, but so many, for sure, starting collectors are not realizing this enough. You should never, and I mean never, pay a price for any collectible or asset that you are not feeling comfortable with. This having said, as the past has taught us and also the future is going to show us, nothing is going up in a straight line. Just look at the gigantic drops in value that we have seen over the years in Pokemon, and this is by far the strongest card game on the market. As long as nothing fundamentally changes for the asset that you bought or invested in, there is nothing that you have to worry about. However, I am not the biggest One Piece collector myself. I do have enough feeling with the market to understand that there are no fundamental changes at this moment that should make you doubt about the future of this TCG. This having said, the fact that Bandai announced that it will bring more product to the market is obviously something that you will have to keep in mind. This could definitely impact the value of booster boxes, cards and other items on the short and longer term. But as long as you still believe in the future of One Piece and you have faith in Bandai for not destroying the value because of heavily overprinting, there is nothing to worry about. Now again, let me end this video by saying that I have the feeling that sometimes we get caught up so much in the money-making aspect of things that we forget what the TCG is all about. The fact that Pokemon, but also Ravensburger for Lorcana and Bandai for One Piece are constantly stressing that they are doing the best they can to bring as much product to the market as possible is because of the simple fact that they understand that the main audience of a TCG is not us collectors, but the players. There is not one TCG that can survive without a significant player base. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't play Magic the Gathering, nor Pokemon, Lorcana, One Piece or any other TCG, but is just a collector. Now, if a TCG survives long enough, the appreciation in value will come over time, compared with a company's share price that is being determined mainly by its result and the expectations from its investors. The same thing also goes for a TCG. The longer it exists, the bigger the player and the collector's base gets, the bigger the trust in the brand and the better its reputation becomes, the more the value will start to grow and the less volatility you will experience. So do you believe that One Piece will be around in, let's say, 5 or 10 years? And do you also believe that it will continue to grow? Well, then chances are that the losses that you are seeing today will fade away over time to make place for a decent amount of profit. If you think that something fundamentally changed because maybe you expected Bandai not to reprint sets, which they clearly said they would, and given the reputation of Bandai shouldn't really come as a surprise, then and only then you have to ask yourself if you are still feeling good holding onto your items or not. The moment that you lose your faith in what you collect or invest in, not only a lot of the fun goes away, but chances are that you will let your emotions become the best of you, and that is never, and I mean never, a good thing. This is all that I'm having for today's video. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed this content. If so, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. Now, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you again in my next videos. Bye bye.